Marjorie found the apron, that was carefully tucked behind the dish towels, when she was searching for the dish towel that had a butterfly on it. She was old enough to know that it didn't matter at all what dish towel she used, but she simply happened to like that one. "Grandma," she said, "what is this doing here?" Her grandma glanced over her shoulder. She was busy putting the teapot on to boil. "Oh," she said. "Oh, dear." Marjorie saw the look of, what was it? Surprise? Panic? Fear? "Marjorie, I will tell you about it while we have our tea," she said. A few minutes later, they were seated at the table, 2 steaming cups of herbal tea. The apron had been draped carefully over one of the empty chairs. "I didn't want to tell you until you were older," Marjorie's grandma began. "Grandma?" "I'm 12," replied Marjorie with a grin. "Well, you've seen it now, so I will explain it now. This is an enchanted apron." Marjorie wanted to laugh. Enchanted? That was silly. It was the stuff for little kids. "Okay," she said slowly. "So, if you wear it, whatever you cook or bake is perfect? Is that why everything you make is so good?" Her tone was borderline rude, and she surprised even herself. She usually treated her grandma with respect. Her grandma looked her sternly. "No, actually. It doesn't work that way. And I have practiced my recipes, Marjorie." Marjorie understood and gave a quiet, "Sorry about that, Grandma. Please tell me about the apron." "The apron itself does the work. It can read recipes and make things. It's especially helpful around the holidays." "Really, Grandma? You're not just teasing?" "Jason, this kid at school, does that all the time, and then when he convinces me of something, he shouts, 'Just kidding.' And then I get angry." "I'm not teasing. Would you like to see?" Well, who would turn down a chance to see an apron follow a recipe? "Yes!" she cried. Grandma stood and held the apron out at arm's length. Then she said, "Apron, apron, muffins please. I must go and shave my knees." Marjorie gasped. "Grandma? Why did you say that?" Her grandma let go of the apron. It did a twirl and then flew to the cupboard. It took out a cookbook and turned the pages, letting it stop on the page that presumably had the recipe for muffins. It preheated the oven. It proceeded to take out various ingredients, mixing bowls, and measuring cups. It flew to the refrigerator for milk and eggs. It greased the muffin tin. Marjorie stared in amazement. The apron was so graceful. She turned to her grandma and asked again, why she had said what she had said. The apron loves rhyming lines. If you just ask it to make something, it pouts. So, request must be in rhyme, even if the rhyme is silly. They continued to watch. The apron was incredibly efficient. After it placed the filled tins in the oven, it cleaned up the kitchen. Then it flew to the table and sat down. One ribbon tie came up, and the top of the apron rested upon it, much the way Marjorie herself often did, her head resting in her hand, her elbow on the table. When the timer beeped, the apron flew to the kitchen drawer, opened it, and pulled out a toothpick. It opened the oven door and used an oven mitt to remove the muffins. It tested the muffins and seemed satisfied. Then it turned the oven off. It gave a nod to the two who were watching, then opened the drawer, folded itself neatly, and settled itself in the back where Marjorie had found it. Marjorie's grandma walked to the drawer, leaned down, and said, "Thank you, apron, for helping me. Those muffins would taste great with tea." Then she carefully closed the drawer. "Wow," Marjorie said. "Sit with me, Marjorie. The muffins will be cool enough to eat in a few minutes." They sat. "Grandma, why don't you use the apron all the time? Why do you ever do any cooking or baking?" "I wouldn't. I'd just let the apron do it." Her grandma looked at her and paused before saying, "Well, first of all, it's rather lazy, isn't it? And if I did that, I wouldn't have a clue how to make things myself. and I like being able to cook and bake. Also, I don't think it's right to let someone or something do things all the time just because that someone or something can. You can mop a floor, but I don't tell you to mop my floor every time I see you. But it's an apron, not a person. That apron twirls when it's happy. It pouts when it doesn't hear a rhyme. It seems bored while it waits. Why wouldn't I believe that it might be annoyed if I overwork it? We should take care that we treat others right. Marjorie thought about that. And then she thought of something else. Had she been doing that to her friend? Grandma, at school, whenever we do group projects, Becky does the writing. She has very neat writing, so we always ask her to do that part. But now I wonder if maybe she'd like to do something else. Maybe the pictures or the speaking, I don't know, something besides what she always does. Do you think my friends and I have made Becky feel bad? Well, I don't know. But I know this. It wouldn't hurt to ask her next time, if she'd prefer to do something besides write. You have fairly neat writing yourself, so you could do it. You won't know how she feels until you ask. Marjorie continued to think. And she realized that there were others she knew who nearly always had to do the same tasks over and over, even though other people could do the things too. She didn't say anything, she just thought. Her grandma, who remembered when her own grandmother had told her about the apron and how to treat it, felt that she had some idea of what was on Marjorie's mind. She let the young girl think quietly for several minutes before she said, "Marjorie, let's enjoy those muffins." She started to stand, but Marjorie stopped her. "Don't get up, Grandma. I'll put them on a plate for us."